Hello, gamers. It's been a while since I've done a video on this topic, and so let's tackle this again for Black Friday. It's very apropos. If you're looking for a deal for a graphics card, what better day to try for one on Black Friday? So back in March, I recommend that you do not wait, and if there's one in stock, you go for it if you can afford it, and it's something you actually need, not just want, and that would be cool to have, or I'm gonna flex my EP on the internet. But let's say you had an old, I don't know, 770, and you can't have fun with your friends anymore. Well, I mean, then the recommendation stands. If you can afford it, get another mainstream card. Now that whole video, for the bulk of the video, I was focusing on the mainstream series. So for Nvidia, that would have been the 60 series, and so around the 300-ish ballpark. Now, shortly after I did this video, so that I was keeping an eye on it. In April, there was some sales on mainstream cards. I think from April through June. Some of them most of them were rebates. Some of them were rebates and flat discounts. So some of them actually you could have dropped about $100, but if you bought it from a reputable retailer, you could have just gotten that back anyway. And then I noticed after this, as the summer came and went, or midway through the summer, the discounts on the mid range disappeared, and they went back up into the same price they were back in March. And what all the discounts? So you had all these media organizations. Oh, look, it's the cheapest it's ever been, but that was all on the 80, 90 series cards, getting the discounts. So the cards that most people would be interested or should be getting, they were not being discounted anymore. All the focus was on the high end. And so I'm not sure if it's this video or I might have mentioned in this video as well as on the video when I mentioned on power about how during the how to navigate the Great Reset video, about the problem with waiting is if you're waiting for the next series of cards and the next series of GPUs, they're also going to be much more power hungry. And so just as summer's coming, I knew there were going to be articles about this, and sure enough, boom, there we go. I hate my gaming PC in the summer. So like I've mentioned before, even with my RTX 3070, it's more than I needed, and when it's hot, I mean it can spew another 200 watts in the room, which is no small thing, or 250 watts or whatever it is, when it's running at full power. And so I downclock and downvolt it, and power cap it so that in the hotter months, it's not causing so much issue. So that there's also two other issues with the new things, and this I definitely foresaw is when they're talking about the power usages. When you need that much power, and so this is a new connection. We're begging for issues, and so this has been an ongoing issue. It's not still. It looks like it's mostly due to dirt and dirt interference, as well as not complete insertion in terms of these 4090 cards. But again, I would not recommend the 90 series cards, but you can't even get the 60 series in the new this current generation. That hasn't come out yet, and for the 80 series, they still want over $1,000 for it, so that isn't selling well. So still, my recommendation for March is still stands. You don't wait. If you find a card that you want and you can afford it, don't keep waiting for this day off in the future where it might be the ideal price. Is get the card you need when it's available. So even though supply isn't an issue, um, um, yeah, the current pricing and pricing and availability of the cars you actually want is an ongoing issue. So again, don't wait. Now, what's also come to pass more and more since I did the original video in March is to be blatantly obvious if you're not just looking at graphics cards. And I'm beginning going more into this on a Rumble exclusive video, not on YouTube. But what's been happening with the economy overall is it's clear we're having more and more shortages, and that's going to get worse and worse. So this is ultimately going to rear its head in the graphics cards as well. So again, I'm not telling you to go nuts on this Black Friday, but if you've been waiting this long, and you can afford it, don't during this whole period, you do not want to be going into debt. But so if you can afford it and you need it, don't be holding out. For example, the 4060. I would not want to wait that long. So along with the same whole thing of just too much power, the other thing is I don't trust this. AMD saying 95 is okay. 95 degrees Celsius. I've been in this industry for long enough to know when you're getting close to 100 degrees Celsius, especially. So it's not just the temperature in and of itself. That when you get a lot of electronics don't like extended run periods around 100 degrees Celsius. That's just the fundamental nature. Capacitors have got such a short life, up around 100 degrees Celsius. In fact, each 10 degrees, the rule of thumb is each 10 degrees you increase on a capacitor, you have its lifespan. And so even if they got this silicon able to withstand 95 degrees Celsius, the problem is the surrounding components. When you're pumping 200 watts through the CPU and it's the heat sink's trying to disperse it, that's still warming up everything around it. You got 200 watts that isn't just quickly leaving the PC. That would be ideal as possible, but a lot of that heat is trapped around the socket, and it's warming up the components. So you've got the MOSFETs also generating a bunch of heat, and you got to get the heat off of those. But as everything's heating up, you're reducing the lifespan of the components. So it's not just the CPU that's a concern. Now, the other thing is not just the temperature, it's the temperature delta, the temperature gap between idle temperature and active temperature. So if you're constantly jumping between, let's say, 40 degrees Celsius and 95 degrees Celsius and back and forth, that thermal cycling is weakening the structure of the material. Just like if you can actually hear the creaking in your vehicle, in your car, once you get out of it and it starts cooling down, you hear all the metal creaking and whatnot. So this is happening on a microscopic level, and you can only have so much thermal cycling before things just you've got these macro fractures that are going to cause issues. So it doesn't matter what AMD says. This is not a good thing for the industry. It is going to cause more issues down the road than we've had when, the typical max temperature you'd run things at is like 75. And so, like I mentioned, For Black Friday, it's really, I'm seeing prices that are just storage. There's great deals on storage. So if you needed to get an SSD, increase capacity or whatever, now's a great time for that, as well as peripherals. But graphics cards, I'm not seeing anything smoking, particularly around the region where I'm mostly focused, which is the mainstream. So this 60 series cards that yeah, it was like 549 back in June or whatever. So yeah, that's the short of it. Is the nothing really has fundamentally changed in recommendation wise from March. Is if you can afford it and you need it, jump on it. Don't be waiting. And that's it. And best of luck with Black Friday deals. Just don't blow your wallet. All right. See ya. Bye.